Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a challenge that, let's be honest, pretty much all of us have wrestled with at some point: emotional eating. Now, the source material we're diving into today is actually kind of funny because it completely strips away all the noise, the fad diets and the contradictory advice. Instead, it leans hard into one single repeating truth. Seriously, it relentlessly hammers this home, so we absolutely cannot miss the point. So let's unpack this framework and map out exactly what it takes to get our footing back. So, the big question: how can we naturally control emotional eating? It's a massive question, right? When stress hits, or sadness, or honestly even just boredom, that instinct to raid the pantry is so deeply wired into our brains. But I want you to notice that word naturally. Our source completely ignores pharmaceuticals or crazy punishing restrictions. Instead, it looks for organic, foundational habits that we can seamlessly build into our daily lives. We aren't looking for a quick fix here. We're building a sustainable strategy.
And the answer? Well, it boils down to exactly 7 interventions. Yep, the number 7. Our source text distills the entire solution into a clear, definitive toolkit of just 7 natural habits. Because think about it, when you're feeling overwhelmed and prone to emotional eating, you really don't need some complex 50-step program. You need a straightforward checklist. And this number 7, that represents your complete toolkit.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is your complete roadmap, straight from the source. Ready? 1. Mindful eating. 2. Balanced meals. 3. Stress management. 4. Hydration. 5. Sleep. 6. Exercise. And 7. Healthy coping strategies. These are the absolute non-negotiables. If you want to address emotional eating, this list right here is your foundation. But juggling 7 things at once can feel a little overwhelming, so we really need to organize them into a structured framework. To truly grasp how these strategies work together, we can actually group them into 3 logical pillars. Step 1 is the plate, which covers our dietary interventions. Step 2 is the physical body, looking at our lifestyle and physiological maintenance. And step 3 is the mind, focusing on psychological coping mechanisms. By structuring those 7 foundational points this way, we build this holistic 360-degree defense against emotional eating. It's not just about what you eat, it's about your body's physical state and your mind's emotional state working together. Let's slow down for a second and look at mindful eating. This is our very first natural dietary intervention, and it's the absolute foundational step of our plate pillar. Mindful eating essentially means turning off the autopilot, because emotional eating thrives on mindlessness, right? It's eating a whole bag of chips while staring at a screen and literally not even tasting them. By putting this first, the text makes it crystal clear that the simple act of paying attention to our food, really tasting it and being present, is our primary line of defense. Rounding out our first pillar is the concept of balanced meals, and this pairs perfectly with mindful eating. Think of it this way: if mindful eating is how you eat, balanced meals are what you eat. Ensuring your meals are properly balanced means you're genuinely nourished, and that is huge because it helps prevent those sudden, frantic, physiological cravings that so often masquerade as emotional hunger. The source inextricably links these 2 dietary interventions to make sure the food we eat is actually working for us rather than against us. Let's move to and see how this builds as we reach our second pillar, the physical body. This is where we look at hydration, sleep, and exercise. And honestly, it is absolutely fascinating that in a text entirely dedicated to controlling emotional eating, almost half of the prescribed strategies have absolutely nothing to do with food itself. They're all about physiological maintenance. It's a brilliant structural reminder that you are a complex biological system, and emotional eating is often just a symptom of a completely different physical system being out of alignment. First up in the physical body pillar is hydration. Now, I know it sounds super basic, but there is a very good reason it's included as a foundational physiological habit. Our bodies constantly misinterpret signals. We get this empty, nagging sensation that we perceive as an emotional craving for snacks, when in reality, our physical body is just misinterpreting a thirst. So by securing your hydration, you naturally eliminate one of the biggest, most common false triggers for emotional eating. Next, we focus on sleep, which is a massively vital physical wellness habit. We all know that when we're exhausted, our decision-making completely plummets. A tired brain frantically seeks out quick energy, usually in the form of sugar or simple carbs. Getting enough rest is absolutely not a luxury. It's an active, natural intervention to keep emotional eating at bay. It ensures you actually have the energy required to make mindful choices in the first place. Completing our physical body pillar is exercise. Moving the body is explicitly cited as a way to naturally control emotional eating. It physically burns off the nervous energy and tension that so often drive us to eat emotionally, while naturally boosting our mood at the same time. It really bridges the gap between the physical and the emotional. If you've hydrated, if you slept well, and you've exercised, your body is well fortified. It makes it incredibly difficult for emotional eating to break through that armor.
And that brings us to the third and final step of our framework, the mind, specifically stress management and coping. You see, you can build the perfect physical shield with diet and exercise, but if your mind is chaotic, the storm is still going to break through. Mastering the mind matters immensely in this context, which is exactly why these psychological strategies are woven directly into the core formula.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that stress management isn't just presented as some general life skill. It's an active psychological strategy to address emotional eating. Stress is literally the primary engine of emotional eating. It's the match that lights the fire. If you don't manage the stress, you are constantly fighting an uphill battle. By actively engaging in stress management, whatever that looks like for you, you're fundamentally cutting off the fuel supply to your emotional eating habits. Finally, we hit the seventh strategy, healthy coping strategies. This really points to the reality that life is inevitably going to throw things at us that we can't easily manage. Stress will happen, sadness will happen, and the urge to emotionally eat absolutely will arise. When it does, having a pre-planned toolkit of healthy coping mechanisms means that when the emotional wave hits, you have a natural surfboard ready to go, rather than just drowning your feelings in the pantry. And this brilliantly illustrates how the source treats all 7 of these interventions equally. They are perfectly sized slices of the pie, showing us that they must be kept in absolute balance. Mindful eating is just as important as sleep. Hydration is just as vital as healthy coping strategies. They all play a deeply interconnected role. If you neglect one area, the entire system kind of gets thrown out of whack. You really need all 7 elements working in harmony to fully address emotional eating naturally. So, the crucial point is this single, unifying mantra for success that the source gives us. Emotional eating can be addressed with mindful eating, balanced meals, stress management, hydration, sleep, exercise, and healthy coping strategies. This isn't just a list. It's a complete, holistic formula that addresses the plate, the physical body, and the mind. Internalizing this exact phrasing ensures the formula essentially becomes second nature.
To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with a final thought. Which of the 7 strategies will you focus on first? The true beauty of this structured list is that you absolutely do not have to perfect all 7 overnight. You can turn this knowledge into actionable personal reflection right now. Maybe tonight you just focus on sleep, or maybe tomorrow you focus on hydration. Pick one area, master it, and then build from there. The natural control is totally in your hands.